Welcome to Season 2 of the Wood Podcast. This is a lo-fi skateboard podcast where we talk about where we're from, our beginnings, our boards, our back problems, and our homies. We love the pros, but there's also a whole world of B-team celebrities, ramp builders, local rippers, little groms, and all the people you don't get to hear about on a normal basis. And who knows, you might actually hear a pro or two on here one day. But for now, enjoy the deep cuts. Brought to you by Eureka Street Creative, The Skate Gym, Hellsick, and Beware Skateboards.
Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of the Wood Podcast. And this is the Banger Chronicles. Banger in the Hangar in Houston, Texas. I'm John Miller. This podcast is brought to you by Eureka Street Creative and Hellsick Beware Skateboards as well. And yeah, man, I'm coming across a lot of really cool people here at the Banger. This is one of those events that everybody comes out to. I'd like to compare it. And I don't know if it's a sacrilege or not, but the new version of Shut Up and Skate, you know, that used to happen at the Orange Grove Skate Park in Houston, Texas. Anyway, I ran into Brad Roberson here from Grackle Skateboards. And asked him to come here and just give me his little 2 cents about, how he came into skateboarding and stuff like that. So thanks a lot, Brad, for jumping on.
Hey, man. Thanks for the invite.
Yeah, dude.
Glad to be here.
Yeah. So we're going to I go through about the same, few questions with everybody, and everybody answers them a little differently, but there's a lot of common threads too. But just tell me about like the first time you ever consciously thought about skateboarding and your first experience in skateboarding in life.
Man. Okay, so my first experience in skateboarding was when I was 5.
Okay.
I got a Nash board. It was very reminiscent of like a 90s Jason Lee shape, like early 90s. Flat tail, kind of that fish shape. But used it to get around. Didn't even know what an ollie was.
Okay.
Think it wasn't until I was 13 and these kids were doing kick flips and stuff. And I was like, what is that? How are you doing that?
Yeah.
I had no idea you could even flip the board.
This is in the early 90s, you said?
No, this was like 98.
Oh, wow.
When I was 13.
Okay.
I guess right around the time Tony Hawk was landing his 900.
Yeah.
So that was kind of, skateboarding hits lulls,
Yeah.
every like 4 or 5 years or so, it kind of bottoms out and then comes back and crescendos. It happened to be a crescendo right then, right when Tony Hawk was landing the 900, and then just been history ever since.
Wow. So your first experience with skateboarding was really at the time when vert was dead and it was all in the street, right?
Yeah.
Wow, that's sick.
It's wild. And I grew up in Katy.
Okay.
And I had no idea. So listening to the Won't Shut Up and Skate podcast, I don't know, at least 5-6 names I've come across that were in my backyard that I had no idea even existed, or the history that was in my area.
Yeah.
Even until now, like listening to the podcast, that's how I came into the being of the knowledge. So it was crazy. So wild.
So a Nash, okay, I'm familiar because I'm a little older with like Nash Executioner and all that stuff, like the dragon on the skulls, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So I don't know of any Nashes after that.
This was a Nash ice machine. And it just had like a
So it was like a
geometric
Target
face,
version?
Yeah. Plastic wheels with the slide rails, the copers, the nose guard, the tail guard, everything.
What'd you get for Christmas or something?
Yeah, it was from my aunt or something.
Yeah. So they knew you would be into it though, right?
I guess. I mean, it just kind of, Ninja Turtles and stuff.
Yeah.
Just kind of used it as transportation, but it wasn't until I was like 13. It was like, whoa, you can do something with this.
Yeah.
And it became basically my Amex at that point. You don't leave home without it. It's your travel companion. It's your weapon. It gets you places. So.
Yeah. That's really cool, man. So that's like the beginner board, and I always say that there's like your first pro model, like you consciously buy.
Right.
So what was that?
That was a Chad Muska complete, like his complete pro setup from CCS.
Okay.
I think it was Black Magic, grip tape, Black Panther bearings,
Yeah.
The whole Shorties package, Silverado hardware,
Okay.
Ghetto Child wheels, Fury trucks that had the ball pivot.
Yeah. Dude, that's
I
a
can't
name I
find
haven't
those
heard in a long time.
That, and they in the base plate they had the nut like emplacements built in, so
Yeah.
you could just place it in there and then use the screwdriver portion.
Yeah.
I can't find those now to save my life.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
But,
so rad. Fury trucks,
And
man.
that red graphic that Muska,
Yeah.
the gray Muska and his silhouette. That was it.
Yeah.
Still have it. The tail's like 3 inches now.
Yeah.
Because I wore it down so bad.
Really?
Yeah.
So what type of stuff, where were you skating during that time?
Just in the streets. We Mason Road there in Katy. I think it was South Mason Road.
Yeah.
Right around my neighborhood. Jumping off curbs and finding like grass gaps and stuff and building rails.
Okay. So like all street, no ditches or anything, or?
No, there was a few ditches. And actually, funny you mentioned ditches, because ditches are like my mainstay now.
Really?
I actually started a Facebook group called Ditch Skateboarding International.
Oh, is that you?
Yeah, that group.
Shoot, man. I'm a member of that group.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, it's grown to like 5,000 members, and we curate it with extreme prejudice. There's no board porn, there's no memes.
Yeah.
It's either you in a ditch or somebody else skating in a ditch or a picture of a ditch. Otherwise, we get about 10 people that will put you on post approval, and you get one chance, and then you don't come back after that.
Wow.
Yeah.
So Ditch Skateboarding International. Go see if you can make the cut.
Come on. Everybody's welcome until you're not.
Yeah, no board porn.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah. So, okay. Did you have like a little crew back then that you rode with? You want to give some shout outs to some of your early friends?
Man, dude. Yeah, we had my little brother, Chris, was rolling with us. And we had this dude, Andrew. He was a couple years older.
Yeah.
And this dude, Ian, and Cole. And those are pretty much the 3 dudes I ran around with. None of them skate any longer. It's kind of a sad, you see those taper off.
Yeah.
But the itch got me. I couldn't put it down. I still can't after 29 years.
Wow. Did you ever stop at all?
No.
Okay. That's awesome.
I did a military stint. So for 3 months, I wasn't able to have a board.
Okay.
So I didn't.
Yeah.
So that was the only time.
Okay, cool. So back then, what were some of like your favorite tricks to do and stuff?
So I figured out how to do a hard flip, but it was actually like the Muska illusion flip without the front side flip.
Man, a lot of these flip tricks go beyond me because that was something I'm too old.
Okay, so I don't know, it's an illusion flip. So it's basically like a pressure hard flip. You don't actually, it flips opposite of what a hard flip would flip.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But you just kind of do it with your back foot scooping and pulling your front foot off.
Wow. That sounds really hard.
It's really easy when you figure it out there,
Okay.
But I can't do a regular hard flip.
Oh, okay.
So it was my version of the hard flip.
So you got this like weird little hack, workaround for it.
Yeah.
All right. An illusion hard flip. Okay. Anything else that you was like kind of your bread and butter mainstay stuff?
Dude, nowadays, we got one called the ridiculous flip.
What is that?
It's a late under barrel heel flip where you hook it with your back foot underneath by the wheel well at the peak of your ollie.
Okay, so would you do that on flat ground or on banks? Okay, on flat ground.
You do it on banks too.
Yeah.
I've done it on banks.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. Cancel flips are fun too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so you really like the flip stuff instead of.
Yeah. Well, now we built a mini ramp, so I'm into that. We do ditch skateboarding.
All right. So who's we?
I don't know. I take my kids everywhere. I've got 5 kids.
Oh, you have 5 kids?
Yeah,
Rad,
I got
man.
2 boys that I try to get out to all the events.
Yeah.
We got to ditch slap in Albuquerque and skate the big ditches.
Yeah.
Albuquerque's, for those that don't know, Albuquerque's got over 60 miles of perfectly graded skatable ditches.
The Indian
School Ditch.
Indian School Ditch, yes.
It runs parallel with Indian School Road. That's probably one of the most famous ditches in the world.
Yeah.
Outside of the Bear, that's also located there in Albuquerque. Mm-hmm. The Bear's got 32 foot flat face walls.
Okay.
It's nuts.
So that's kind of like a destination for you and the kids and
absolutely.
stuff? Yeah.
And then my buddy lives down in Corpus.
Yeah.
He surfs. He's my business partner. We put together a small team, like 4 or 5 people, and we curate a ditch contest, bank slalom contest out in Las Vegas every year. And we just actually had that this last October 7th.
Okay.
I got 4th in the world for bank slalom.
Were you there with like Lou Statman and okay?
We came in 7th.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, he was actually at the house with us, Stan. It was really cool. Brandon Fields from Old Bones Therapy stayed with us too. He came out.
Oh, that's so rad.
Judy Oyama came out and she competed.
Yeah, and like Kenny Harrison and Maggie.
Yeah. Yeah. They didn't make it out. I invited them several times.
Okay.
But yeah, it's sick though. Like it's like the who's who. Scott Hostert, big names that are still racing. Like from the people are in the 70s.
So you saw them as well?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I've done one like hybrid tight cone / giant event, whatever. There's like 3 events in the one. It was a Sizzler. It was the first thing I've ever done, and I qualified all 3 events. 32 out of 33, I think.
Wow.
but I street skate, you know?
Yeah, the fact that you could do that and even participate in that, you know, so that says something.
Blast,
yeah.
It's just speed, you know?
Yeah.
And but the cool thing about the slalom world is, you know, I thought, so I make my own skateboards and press my own decks. I've got it figured out, right? I've got the ins and outs, everything. But you pick up a slalom board and it's like, okay, there's a Bennett truck in the front and it's a traditional kingpin truck. And then you got a Randall 125 reverse kingpin in the back. And then you start to wedge them. And so as you wedge, it changes the orientation of the kingpin and then it changes the behavior of the turning of it. So as you pitch the front kingpin furthermore, you get way turnier, and then you take the back kingpin, you put it at 90 degrees.
Wow.
And you basically just deaden it out. So it tracks and the front does all the turning.
Okay.
And it's also mounted on the tail with like a 35 degree wedge or a 30 degree wedge. So it almost, you know, you can pump like a radius, like a half pipe.
Yeah.
Right. You pump it on the radius to transfer your vertical momentum to forward momentum. On the slalom board, it's almost the same principle, except like you have a sine wave. You know, you got a line and a sine wave that goes even on both pits and valleys. Each one of those you can get a pump off of. Each one of the curves. So each turn you can then propel yourself forward.
So you're building speed, kind of like a sidewinder snake almost, using the
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's a whole different world. It's like I don't know, the boards we ride on and, you know, the street boards and stuff, they're like a souped up Honda Civic or something or a Corvette. Ooh, you know, it's a real bad car. But you take that driver and put it into an F1 car and they're like, what do I do? You know, you're kind of lost, and the aerodynamics are different, and, you know, it behaves differently. So
it's like almost a different sport in a way.
It's totally reignited my love for, you know, I got rebit by the bug.
Yeah, that's so rad, man. And I've only recently in this, like, I didn't even know slalom skating still existed before this year, to be honest.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's going strong too. They're trying to get in the Olympics.
Yeah, man. That's insane. Okay, so I want to rewind back to how you got back there, you know. You were in Katy with all that group of friends there. Now you live in Longview?
I live in a little town called Gilmer.
Gilmer, okay.
5,500 people.
In East Texas?
Yep.
Okay, so did you move straight there from Katy, or you said you did a stint in the Army?
Navy, but military.
Navy?
But yes,
military.
it was, okay, so how do I put this? I graduated in 2004.
Okay.
And kind of kicked around in college, went to Stephen F. Austin, Nacogdoches. Kicked back around, went back down to San Marcos. 09, I was about at the point where I was like, hey, school ain't for me. Let's see what the military has to offer. So, man, you know, here's my mentality going into the military. Oh, dude, I'm a skateboarder. I throw myself down, you know, 13 stairs just for the fun of it. Hell, you know, what am I going to do in the military? Might as well be the best of the best. So I joined under a SEAL contract and ended up running till I broke my right tibia in 2 places.
Wow.
And had a serious reappraisal of my life. And I was on LLD for like, I don't know, 6 or 9 months and light limited duty. And I built back up to running 20 miles in a stint. I had to build my leg back up. And then passed the exit exam. But while I was there, light limited duty, it just gives you a lot of time to think. And your mind starts working on you, and there's a 95% attrition rate once you make it into the teams. And once you're there, it's a 100% divorce rate because of the, you know, workups and the going dark and all that stuff if you're doing black ops stuff. So I was like, yeah, no, I don't want to do that. And then I went in intelligence, and I ended up doing computer network defense for the rest of my time in there.
Okay.
So I went from San Marcos to San Antonio, shipped out of San Antonio to Great Lakes. So I was in Chicago for a year.
Okay.
So I got to skate that whole area.
Yeah.
And then my other school was down in Pensacola. So I got to go down there for a year. And then got stationed back in San Antonio.
Wow, man. So you made like a big loop.
Yeah. And I'm like 2 hours from where I grew up. But so the whole ditch skateboarding thing came about really when I was there in San Antonio.
Okay.
I was traversing through, you know, Joey Speck. So he was like man, when I first met him, he was like 10 or something.
Okay.
Met him skating a 5-stair at the junior high in our hometown.
Yeah.
But so we were driving, my wife and I were driving to Vegas, and driving through, and he's like, dude, if you're going through Albuquerque, you got to stop and hit this ditch. And it was like 3-mile ditch or whatever. He gave me a couple of coordinates, and we went and hit that ditch, and I was like, dude, this is amazing.
Yeah.
You know, you're just sitting there laying in a ditch at sunup, and you can see down like 1.5 miles before it elbows or dog lefts to the right. And it's like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. It's perfectly smooth, and there's nothing in the way because, you know, it's 4 flash floods. So when the flash floods come, it just washes everything out.
Yeah.
So you have a nice...
There's no leaves to really like litter it up or anything.
I mean, you might have some sand.
Yeah.
And rocks, homeless people, I think trolls living under the bridge.
Yeah.
And shopping carts.
Yeah.
But that's about it.
Yeah.
I found a pack of socks one time. This last year, I'm not joking. But so that came about in San Antonio, and I was like, dude, if I like it, somebody else has got to like it.
Yeah.
So did Skateboarding International.
Yeah. Okay. Man, that's so rad. You made that loop. Did you find any like cultural differences or more similarities between skateboarding and all those places that you skated?
Dude, oh man, I don't know, because it really, it's felt like everywhere I've gone, I've had to take skateboarding with me.
Yeah.
There's been somebody that never had skateboarding that wherever I'm at, they end up like tagging along, you know, I don't like a crony or something, but it's like, yeah, I'll show you how to skate, you know, but it becomes that thing. You see somebody get bit by the bug, you know, and it's like, and they can't put it down. It's like, dude, that's so awesome. But it seems like everywhere I've gone, skateboarding hasn't been there, and I've had to kind of give it to whoever's there.
Yeah. So how'd you end up back in East Texas then?
Okay, so Katy, when my wife and I were growing up, we're both from Katy.
Okay.
It was like a little sleepy, like maybe 2 stoplight town. And Houston has effectively engulfed it and swallowed it now.
Yeah.
But so Gilmer, we went up there, and it was pretty much what Katy was back in the 80s, 90s before it blew up into all the growth. Yeah. And you still have the rural feel. It's pretty cool. And we have 5 kids, so we wanted a place so we could raise kids outside of. When we were living in San Antonio, it was crazy. Yeah. We had people like coming in our back door. We lived right by SeaWorld. So we had like people hopping our fence, and like a couple instances like crazy people like, I don't know, just weird random stuff that you don't want to be exposed to. You know? So we got out of there as quickly as possible.
That's rad. And so naturally you skate, and you brought that with you to Gilmer, Texas.
Yeah.
And you got to know other skaters around there, or was it? I mean, I didn't.
Yeah.
Before I followed Grackle on Instagram, I had zero idea that there were even any skaters in that area of Texas.
Yeah.
Like, it just seems like the last place I would think there'd be skaters.
And I opened a skate shop out there, knowing that it's just a labor of love, right? Yeah. I'm not expecting to get anything out of it, but we had probably. Again, I didn't think there was that many skaters out there, but we had 10 people show up, and we built a half pipe on the side of the shop. Yeah. And everybody pitched in, and it was just, we built 4 quarter pipes, put them together, built a flat, put them together, and then boom, you got a people that are there that didn't have something before, and it's a free to skate ramp, skate your own risk. 4 foot high, 9 foot radius, 9 foot flat bottom, so it's a perfect beginner learning ramp. And then those are 12 foot wide, and then we've got 2 4 foot wide, 6 foot tall tombstones on either side next to the walls. And big shout out to Mike Crum, 4 Down, donated all their used skate light.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, to our ramp. So we've been able to, fortunate enough to cover our ramp, and then help a couple other ramps in the area get covered as well.
Oh, that's so rad. Cool. Yeah. And what's the name of that shop?
Texas Skate Shop.
Texas Skate Shop. And you're the owner or one of the owners?
I am the owner, yeah.
Okay. All right.
They're in Gilmer, Texas.
Yeah. And you have a skateboard company as well?
So I've got a manufacturing company.
Okay. Manufacturing company. Yeah.
We press there in the back of the shop. It's called Fun Key Laminates, like fun dash key, because I believe that the deck is the key to fun.
And hell yeah, thing. Man.
So
and a wordplay on funky.
Yeah, exactly. And we do all kinds of shapes and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm pretty partial to that Jason Lee.
To that Jason Lee Nash.
Yeah.
Jason Lee style Nash.
Oh, yeah. Well, not the Nash.
The ice machine.
But the yeah, right. Well, it's the what is the American values deck that had the American flag on it. It had the Bible, the revolver, and the six pack. That deck.
Okay.
That shape.
Yeah. And you have one of your decks with you right here. Yeah. You want to show the video camera for those of you listening? He's holding up a Grackle deck.
It is a Grackle deck.
That's your graphic, right?
This is not my graphic.
Okay.
This is Grackle's graphic, but this is my deck, and I wanted something that I write. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's a Texas Hard Rock Canadian maple, but it's Texas pressed and Texas shaped. Okay. We use Type Bond 3 waterproof glue.
Oh yeah.
Or waterproof wood glue, and simple as you can get. Hand rolled, hand shaped.
I know a lot of. I know several guys that make their own decks, but they cut them and they don't necessarily press them. So that's like an extra step in the process.
So I'm gonna put this out there. Yeah. I don't know who knows this or who needs to hear this, but there is a website that I think everybody should know. It's called SkateCAD.
SkateCat?
CAD.
CAD?
C-A-D.
Okay.
Yeah, so sk8cad.com.
Okay.
The guy's name is Bo that came up with it, but it's a free to use tool, and it's got all the measurements that you could ever want to build a skateboard deck. And you create it in this 3D environment online. Yeah. And you adjust every little parameter, and then it'll kick you out a text document, and you can put it in a CNC machine. It'll give you the male and female molds at whatever offset you put it on. So then you can you make your mold like that. I want that information out there so that I feel like I feel like making skateboards should be like the micro brew explosion, you know?
Absolutely,
Everybody
man.
should have, their own take on a board. Yeah. Because if we saturate the market with badass quality boards, because people will take the labor of love. Yeah. And I mean, I know that I spend extra time on it because I want it to be right, because it's going to be coming from me.
Well, I mean, I was thrilled when shapeboards came back in, and the first shapeboards that I saw that were not popsicle sticks was Welcome skateboards, and I was just like, hell yeah, dude.
And it was like a take on like street pool boards, like all the the snubs and the coffins and stuff like that. Yeah, that was refreshing.
Yeah, I still ride like a Welcome Chris Miller, and I'm on my fourth one now. So it's my brand. Yeah.
Yeah, you find something you like there and stick to it. But that's the thing. There's so much that goes into a board, wheelbase and stuff. I'll sit there and talk to somebody about wheelbase and like, never even thought of that.
Well, what does wheelbase mean? What's the significance of something like that?
Wheelbase would be like, I don't know, you've got a wider shoulder frame than me and you're a little bit taller, so you'd probably want a larger wheelbase because of the way you stand, your feet, standing regularly on the ground as you're balanced, typically feet are going to be shoulder width apart, right? Sure. So, I mean, it doesn't necessarily directly equivalent to it, but you take the measurement from the center of this bolt hole to the center of that bolt hole. Your real wheelbase is your axle to axle. Okay. But that changes per truck, per wheels, per whatever, right? Okay. So if you're just talking about the deck without anything, it's the center of this bolt hole to the center, measure the center of that one. Okay. So this is a 14.5-inch wheelbase on an 8.5-inch wide board. Okay.
Does that affect things like speed and ollie height and stuff like that, or?
Everybody's different, right? So it'd be like putting like a 5-year-old on a longboard that 200-pound dude would ride. Sure. And it'd be like, oh, he can't control that, like this guy. But I just a rough example, but it controls different. For sure, you have as you expand out the wheelbase, you at higher speeds you have more stability. Sure. Okay. So there's a plus and minus there. I've seen people go out to 15-inch wheelbases, and what you can take the same mold, and I can get a 13.75 wheelbase or a 15-inch wheelbase out of it. But as you start moving the base plate, you then change the geometry of the pop. Okay. So then that's where the thought of maybe the length of the nose or tail come into play. Yeah,
because I imagine a shorter tail might give more pop because it increases the angle at which the board...
Exactly. Which is another reason why you find that typically on the tail, there'll be like a 19 degree, or it'll be a 1 degree flatter than the nose. The nose is typically, not on all of them, but typically. Yeah. And that's because the tail will hit first, and then you want to have a bigger nose so you can grab it with your foot.
Okay. Wow, man. Paul Schmidt, watch out. The skateboard scientist. You got another one.
Right. Hey, I actually called Paul, and he gave me a really badass conversation.
Did he?
Yeah,
Yeah.
really insightful.
Yeah.
Down to help. It was awesome.
That's so rad.
Yeah, I had a lot. Of questions when I started. For
Yeah.
anybody that listened. And
Well, he was probably super stoked that there was another person looking at it from a scientific mindset. And so,
Yeah.
super
yeah,
detailed.
He was into it.
Yeah.
Talked to him for like 20 minutes. It was
Really?
pretty cool.
Oh, that's so rad. So,
Cool,
do you
dude.
have what are your top 3 pro influences? We would say for your life.
Man, dude. Well, my son's named after Jeff Rowley. So that I guess that would probably be like up there at the top. Mark Johnson.
Yeah.
Personally, just work ethic and bag of tricks. Man, the third one, dude. I don't know. That's rough. All right. I'd say for tech, respect the how to Peter Smollett.
Okay. Yeah, man. Yeah.
But then again, Dan McFarland's been my boy since day
Yeah.
one. So
Okay.
I got a shout out to Dan too.
Hell yeah, man.
Super
Okay.
big influence.
Yep. Any other shout outs you want to give before we kind of wrap it
Yeah,
up
definitely.
here?
I'm gonna take the opportunity to shout out to my wife. She doesn't get enough credit, and I wouldn't be here if it weren't for her. So
Yeah, me neither. For my wife.
Yeah,
Not your wife.
dude. But I greatly appreciate it.
Yeah. Okay. Anything you want to pass on to a younger generation of skaters coming up?
Yeah. Okay. So if I could tell any skater anything, 95% of skateboarding is just showing up. The other is figuring it out on your own, or it'll fall into place. But if you don't show up, you don't get the connections. You don't get the when I say connections, like the relationships that it builds. You don't get. You don't have a community without the community being there. So, skateboarding is just showing up, and don't be afraid of getting laughed at because the world will laugh at you for anything. Just get up and do it, man. And it's fun. And that Last thing, I'll jump off the soapbox, but because I give instructions too. I give skateboarding.
You seem like a
instructions.
natural teacher. Yeah.
But I tell all my students, if there ever comes a time where you're not having fun, you need to put the skateboard away and then reassess your walk with it. Because first and foremost, it's a toy. It's meant to bring joy and fun. I've seen it break grown men. I have seen it break them emotionally, physically, everything. And it's a sad thing to watch when somebody's throwing a tantrum and throwing a toy around, and it's like
Focusing their board.
yeah, but it's like what? No. Oh man, now you gotta set up a new board. It's just like I've had that a few times where I've been trying to talk somebody out of snapping their board, but
Yeah.
but it's fun. We wouldn't do it if it wasn't fun.
Yeah.
So that would be the number one takeaway.
Right on, man. Well, thank you so much for those words of wisdom.
Yeah.
Thanks for
having
coming
me
on. All
Thank you.
right.
Thank you for listening to the Wood Skateboard Podcast. I hope you enjoyed the episode. If you have any questions or want to learn more, just go to theskategym.com. Now quit listening here and get out and skate. Brought to you by Eureka Street Creative, The Skate Gym, Hellsick, and Beware Skateboard.
That was a lot of noises. Whole family. Yeah.
The pocket's fun.
Get the G-turn.
Yes. Nice.